Good morning, all. Another wonderful day in our off grid paradise. A few days ago, I posted up a video on my YouTube channel, Nechako Bushman, about a wolf cross that we had, wolf bull mastiff named Ghost. And Ushi was kind of indirectly involved as well, our St. Bernard bull mastiff. So, what happened, as you may have known if you've seen the video already, for those who've already watched it, I'll just do a quick recap because the follow-up story to this is absolutely incredible. It's beyond understanding, but it did happen. So, as you remember, we had I woke up around midnight, heard howling from Ghost, and Ushi was barking, and I looked out the window of our trailer. We weren't in the house yet; we were in the trailer, and I looked out and saw a pack of wolves right at the beach of our place here. So above from the trailer is about probably 65, 70 meters away. And then it's about the same time I spotted them, two of them, I'm assuming an alpha, maybe a sub-alpha male, started coming up the beach towards the trailer, and Ghost and Ushi were probably 15 meters from the trailer. And then about the time I noticed that, Ghost took off after them. And as soon as he started running towards them, they stopped. And he kept going hell bent for them. And I hollered out for him to stop, which he did stop. He was about maybe 6-7 meters away from him. And I feared bad was to come of this, as much as he's got testicles the size of watermelons. He did stop, and of course they were still standing there, both were stopped. And then he started to run again, and then when he started to chase him again, they took off and they ran back down towards the lake. And I was really concerned about the fact that he was chasing these two wolves down the lake, but more so there was a whole pack there. And then I noticed in the moonlit night, there's a big tree down there by the beach. I seen a couple wolves, at least two wolves, kind of crouched down in behind the tree, waiting obviously in ambush as well. So they were trying to lure him out, I believe. And he kept on going. I finally had to fire my gun off and yell again, because by that time he was out on the lake, about 30 meters out from shore, hot on the tail of, I could see 5 wolves for sure. And I knew that they were just going to lead him into a trap and then they would have destroyed him. So when I did fire and holler the second time, he did stop and he came back. And we didn't hear anything else the rest of the night until about 2 a.m. Again, I heard Uchi barking and looked out and saw a lone wolf about 35, 40 yards out from shore, meters, I guess, and just staring back at the house. And I went and grabbed my gun again, hoping to get a shot at this guy. And when I came back, he was gone. So that was kind of the end of that story. But like I say, the follow-up will blow your mind. It's just, in my years of experience in dealing with, I've been hunting since I was just a youngster. A lot of bear hunting. I've hunted wolves, bears. I've had all kinds of encounters with wild animals, with predators, wolves in particular. The story from my first book, One Instant Disaster, about my memoirs, will tell you about that one particular story we had. Anyway, so about a year later, about the same time of year as it is right now, we were in our house now. We built a house, not finished, but we're in the house, a log home. And I was sitting down at the kitchen table, and we have a great big window there. It looks out across the deck out into the lake. And as I was sitting there, I believe, having my breakfast, I noticed a lone wolf about 350 meters out in the lake, just staring back at the house. So I grabbed my rifle and I came outside, and I tried to find a good rest for it, because we had 3 horses here, and we didn't want to have our horses killed or harassed by the wolves. So I came out to shoot them, and it's a long shot, but I managed to pull off a shot, and I guess it was a pretty lucky one. I'm not a bad shot anyway, but I think it was pretty lucky as well. And I hit him, and he went down for a second, and he loped off into the bush. He wasn't that far from the shore. And my son-in-law Cole went down later on and walked out onto the lake to where I'd shot him, and found from on the blood, and he was hit hard. but he managed to get back into the thick brush. There's a really heavy brush back in there behind the meadow. And I think Cole, justifiably so, was a little bit hesitant to want to go in there because there was a pack. You know, the one wolf was a pack. And so that ended that day. And then a few weeks after that, about 1 in the morning, I woke up to howling. And I could hear it clearly in the house, wolves howling. And I went out to the window again because we have Ushi and Wolf here, or Ushi and Ghost. And I was kind of curious to see what they were going to do. And I didn't see them, but as I opened I have a big window up in the upstairs, facing out towards the meadow where these wolves have a tendency to really like to hang out and howl and yip and yap and make a real kai. And so in the process of that, I heard them, of course, I heard the howling, but I heard something that was absolutely absurd for me to hear. I heard Ghost howling with them, which those who are in the know and understand how this works, he would not be a welcome addition under any circumstances to the pack. More than likely, he would have been ripped to shreds as they were going to try and do that night here. Because I know Ghost had gone around and marked as his territory because he is a wolf, half wolf. So everywhere I had gone over there, the meadow where we fenced off for the horses for their summer pasture, you know, he'd mark the territory, knowing that I was the alpha still, but this is our territory, and so he'd mark it. So everywhere that around this, our property, probably within a mile of our area, I'm sure, he's marked as his territory. So anyway, back to the howling. And this is part of the story. You need to hear this first to understand the rest of it. So I heard this howling, and I called Ingrid. She was in bed. I said, "Hon, don't listen to this." And we heard this mournful howling out there. And Ghost again was howling in amongst them. And if I remember correctly, she agreed that it sounded like Ghost as well. I thought, well, that's it. He's not going to be back here in the morning. He's either going to be, well, he'll be probably dead. We'll find his carcass out there in the meadow somewhere. So next morning, I got up feeling kind of sad and forlorn that I'd lost my buddy. And there he was laying down by the porch. I thought, well, that's weird. Maybe he wasn't out there, but then he wasn't here. And I didn't hear him howling here, and he would have been definitely howling. If he was here and you heard wolves howling, he'd be howling as well. And it wasn't just a few nights later. I'm not sure exactly how many nights later, but I heard the same thing, a commotion going on again out there, which they're wont to do. They love going through our property here and hauling out and making a racket at least every 2 weeks. They'll come through all winter. And the meadows where they like to go and hang out. I heard the howling again. And again, I could hear distinctly Ghost's howl. And I know his howl. He's been mine for years. And I heard him howling right in amongst them. And of course, I don't know if he came home that night, but the next day he'd be there. So as unusual as that is that they didn't kill him, here's my only theory. And if anybody's got want to add something to it and with some experience to back it up, please let me know what you think. So here's my theory. We had marked this whole he had marked this whole territory where we have our property as his territory. Me killing that wolf, I'm assuming now, might have been the alpha male. The wolf pack in itself might have assumed, and I mean, rightfully, possibly so, that the death of their alpha was at the cause of Ghost because it was a territorial protection. They would have known that he'd marked the territory all around here and would assume that maybe the death of their alpha was by his hand, not by mine. Which in that case would, by attrition or subjugation, or however you want to describe it, would, for all intents and purposes, make him the new leader of that pack. I know it seems incredulous to believe that, but there's nothing else that makes sense. They did not try to kill him. He was over there howling with them. I could hear him out there for half an hour, 40 minutes, howling away. The whole pack, and him right in there. I could tell his howl just like I can tell my wife from looking at her. It wasn't a struggle for me to figure that out, or for her. So again, that was kind of how that ended up playing out. I don't know if he went hunting with him at night, or he was doing something with him, or if he even was breeding the alpha female, and some of his offspring is running around in the very pack that's back here now. Because this morning, wolves were back on our driveway, and my daughter showed me the pictures of the tracks where they had gone up our driveway. So they're back, and it's kind of incredible because I'm thinking like maybe his offspring, because as you know, he's no longer with us. Ghost is now gone, and I wonder, if I see one of these wolves, will it be an offspring story? Is fantastic as it seems to be. I really truly believe that's what happened. So I hope you enjoyed that story. I wish he was here beside me to join me in this story, and wish he could talk and tell me exactly what happened. But that's what happened, and that is a true story. Anyway, thanks for watching. Have a great day.